Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to The Thriving Healer. I am your host, Karina Nickerson. And as you know, I am talking to amazing transformational leaders in the healing arts, all about building emotional mastery and releasing self-doubt so that you can take bold, aligned action towards that deep calling in your heart. And I'm so happy and honored to be introducing you to our guest today, Dr. Jennie Logue. It's Logue, right? Is that how I say
Yes,
it? Okay, good.
correct. Thanks, Karina.
Dr. Jennie Logue is a world-renowned intuitive chiropractor, spiritual teacher, and founder of the intuitive healing method. Her ability to zero in on the solution to long-standing physical, emotional, and/or spiritual issues have been called magical. Dr. Jennie works closely with guides, angels, and ascended beings to lead patients and clients into releasing lower vibrations such as anger, fear, anxiety, and sadness. Using fun imagery and interactive exercises, a brilliant light floods into the person immediately, raising their energy into the higher vibrations of love, joy, and gratitude. Yay!
Favorite emotions, my favorite vibration.
Oh, and this is so essential right now, in our climate. So good to talk to you today. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Karina, for having me here. I'm really excited to be a part of your journey in thriving healing.
Oh, good. Me too. Well, let's start with your journey to doing the work you're doing now. And you've been someone who, anyway, I'll just have you share. Yeah, you're an intuitive chiropractor, which I think is really interesting. And I want to dive into more around what it is what that is. But let's talk about how did you know you were a healer, and what led you to doing this intuitive work that you do now?
Well, it actually all started when I finished college. I went to the university in San Diego, and when I came up here, people had always told me that I had good hands. So I'm like, well, what can I do for a living? So I ran an ad in the LA Weekly saying I could do massage. I really wish I had a copy of that ad because I got over 200 phone calls and 99% of them were for a prostitute. So I don't remember how to do clients out of that. And then I learned how to promote myself in a more professional way. So I didn't have that, I didn't create that again. And when I was doing massage, I was working on a lady. I was massaging her thigh, and I got like this little video clip of this girl about 8 years old wearing red, and she was roller skating. And I thought, well, that's really weird. So I mentioned it to my client, and she said, oh, I used to love to roller skate, and I always wore red when I was a little girl. And I said, oh, okay. So I was getting a clip of her, a part of her life. And then the next time was when I was working on a woman who had kidney problems, and I could see her kidneys, but it looked like they were like it was a factory and all these factory workers were in there repairing her kidney. It was really pretty cool. And when I got into when I became a chiropractor, my skills just became more and more advanced. Would see I would just perceive. I remember the first time I perceived that somebody had something wrong around their uterus. I couldn't really see what it was, and she went and got an ultrasound, and she had a tumor. And then what I was seeing and feeling got confirmed on medical tests, I began to trust myself more. And I began to talk more openly with my patients about what I was seeing and what I was feeling, and so my gifts just kept growing and growing. And I got into doing the remote healing mainly because my patients started calling me after midnight at 2 or 3 in the morning. I remember the first time one of my patients, her daughter was having an asthma attack, and she asked if there was anything I could do about it. So I tuned into her, and I literally imagined that she was right there in my office on my table, and I went through just as I would have if she had been present. And I gave her an adjustment, and her asthma cleared up. And so I started getting more calls of babies who had colic in the middle of the night or stuffed sinuses, different things. And so it just evolved from there. And then I developed the courage to start talking to people about their emotions and what I was feeling, because I would feel their sadness, I could feel their pain. And sometimes I would get images as to what caused it also. And so I began to guide them through their own energy to clear those shadows that were left from past traumas and crises.
Wow, that's like that's so I just find that so fascinating. This, this ability that you have to intuit and see, the hidden messages in the body mind of people. And it's something that it organically evolved for you. Like it started with
Yes.
people telling you you have good hands. And that's really funny. But I mean, it's funny, but it must have been horrifying too to get phone calls
Oh,
about.
it was just
It would be interesting to
sorry.
see what that ad said.
Oh, I would love to see it. You know, I was 19 years old, so I was like, I don't care. This is cool. And I was like, okay, well, sorry, no, 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 no. But
Yeah. Wow.
crazy.
This is so much more than just, chiropractic work.
Oh yes,
This is
absolutely.
right. How have
Yeah.
you how do you cultivate this gift? Like, yeah, tell me more about that. Once you,
Well, it just comes. It's like having this conversation with you. If, for example, if somebody came to me right now and asked me, "Oh, can you see my aura, or do my guides have any messages for me?" Immediately, I just start getting downloads, and I've always been able to seeing people's guides. I've been able to do since I was, I think, 10 years old, and my mom got
really?
into metaphysics, and her friends would come over and they'd say, "Oh, well, who's standing behind me?" And I'd say, "Oh, you've got this tall Indian man, and he's kind of serious, and then there's a woman over here, just like a gypsy." And it was just natural for me. I didn't even think about it. They would ask, and I would answer, and it's been that way with chiropractic. I've always been guided what to do to a person. I give them their evaluation, diagnosis, the normal procedure to begin with, but then information just comes and I just know where to put my hands. I know what to do. And I am very good at finding the roots of problems that for people who've had chronic pain for decades. And I'm able to pull that out, to take them back and unwind the body and get whatever the root of it, whether it was physical or emotional or spiritual or whatever is holding them back. It's just something that I have. It's very easy for me. And over time, I've been doing this for 40 years. It was about 40 years ago I began doing massage. So it's a lot of experience, excellent training. I had the very best chiropractors in Los Angeles teaching me as I was going to chiropractic school, and just a natural gift, I guess. It's just evolved with practice.
That's so, because I do not like, this is like, I have my own, get my gifts, but these aren't them. Like how do guides, you can see people's guides. How do our guides help us on our healing journey? What's their function?
Well, when I'm working with a patient in person, more so than when I'm working with somebody remotely, the information just gets downloaded to me. So it's a different experience. It's deeper. It's much deeper than when I'm with somebody in person for some reason. But when I'm with somebody in person, sometimes I'll see other people standing around the table helping me. Sometimes they'll literally take my hand and put it where it needs to be. I did have one experience that was pretty cool where a patient actually got out of his body and like this golden body sat down next to me, and he showed me how to repair the cracked cartilage in his knee. So it's literally, I mean, I see them like a person, like a regular person, but they're not as clear, not as, solid, but I can see like similar features to real people. Some the colors or light, but it usually I'll see an actual person, and we'll speak just as you and I are speaking. Just they'll just answer my questions if I when I ask them, or give me information in a regular speaking voice.
Yeah, and you really trust it.
Yeah, well, because I've had so much confirmation that it was accurate information, that as that developed, then the information came more frequently and more clearly to me. But I did have to develop I had to learn to trust it for it to grow.
Yeah, and I want people to hear this too, because I think we talked about this as well earlier. But sometimes people wait to move into their calling because they don't feel like they're ready.
Yes,
And what I'm hearing from you is like it's actually by doing it and then getting confirmation that your confidence grew.
exactly. Because when I first started seeing things or feeling things, they were sometimes they were kind of personal. You know, they were very intimate for the person, and I didn't want to be intrusive. I didn't want them to think I was weird. Now it's pretty, people are really open about this stuff. But imagine 40 years ago,
Yeah.
underground, there were a few people like this, but it wasn't, people didn't really talk about it. And and having grown up in a metaphysical household, my mom she was really weird, and so were her friends. And just imagine these, well, spiritual hippies, I guess they called themselves the midwives of the new age. And I didn't want to be weird. I really wanted to fit in with the normal popular kids. So I didn't really want people to know that side of me because I wanted to be able to fit in. But my friends knew. I mean, my close friends, they knew there was something different about me. The first time I remember, some of my friends in high school tried mushrooms and they were describing the experience to me. And I'm like, but that's how I normally see things. And they were like, that's not fair. We have to take drugs to see the, golden rain falling from the sky and rainbows coming from the trees, and it's different. But that's just normal for me.
That's how you were born. Like, that's just how you're made.
That's how I think.
This
Yeah.
is clearly what you're supposed to be doing in the world. I mean, 40 years, like I imagine you've encountered, obstacles and things like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what's your secret to, if you have, I don't know if secret's the right word, but what advice would you give us, those of us who are, maybe struggling with, like, we have a deep sense that yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing,
Right.
but
But there's a
maybe,
self-doubt.
yeah,
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 there's that self-doubt. I really had to overcome my feelings of not being worthy, of not being enough, of being a fraud. And over the years, I used many different methods. I find anybody, one who I trusted enough, who I felt had the ability to really go in and do more than I could do. And there's only a couple of people out there that I would trust, but they're very expensive, and I didn't want to. They were far out of my budget at that time when I needed them. And so I had to learn to do it on myself, which also helped my gift grow. But at the end of it all, I've developed a very simple way. When I start, I still bump in every once in a while. There's still shadows of me that have self-worth issues or feel like I'm not enough, especially when I'm expanding to my next level. And I find if I just expand myself, I fill myself with light, which is something you'll experience in a session with me. And then I shower that piece of me, that little part of me that's still stuck at a lower vibration. I shower her with love. And I just simply repeat, I love and accept myself just as I am now. Aiming that to that piece of me that still is feeling, like the insecure child that I was. And I do that until I feel her come up into the light and to feel fully loved, and the heavier energy disappears. So it's a very
wow,
simple way to heal yourself. And I suggest for you healers out there who, especially those who are intuitive and doubting whether you're just hearing voices, have the courage to tell who the person that you're with what's coming in and get their feedback, and you'll be surprised how accurate you probably are.
wow, yeah. That makes so much sense. And like, I imagine, yeah, if you're not doing that, you might just feel, yeah, really, out there.
Yeah. Especially when you hear voices in your head and you're like, well, no, that's just me, and it's like, no, because sometimes my guide's voices, they're really not that different from the normal voice in my head. Sometimes it'll be very distinct, but it's really not that different. But I've just learned to trust it. That's just the information's coming from my infinite self. It's not my human self that's thinking these things. It's my infinite self that's thinking these things. We just have a similar voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think too, like just mentors, having mentors in our lives that reflect back to us, no, like, yeah, you actually, this is real, that you can have confidence. And if like, yeah. So, do you work with do you train other people to do, because you have a method, I need to look here, the intuitive healing method, which I imagine is sort of like what we've been talking about, right? And it's called the
Right.
intuitive healing method.
What I teach people to do is I teach people how to heal themselves. I I lived in Mexico for many years, so I was mainly doing classes down in Mexico. I've done a couple of classes up here, but I haven't really expanded on that. It's something I'm open to doing if people invite me. It was really easy in Mexico because people invited me to give a class. And I would do a 6-week class leading people into how to look at their own body and how to heal themselves. And I helped a couple of people avoid surgeries, or they avoided surgeries using the exercises I taught them. One of my first students actually put her cancer into remission doing a very simple exercise that I had taught her how to do. And she actually expanded it and made it more powerful. So now I teach her version, the expanded version of it. But it took her 6 weeks to put her cancer into remission.
Yeah, that's incredible. Just seems like, wow, everyone should have access to an intuitive healer, a healing like that's like
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, this is powerful. And yeah, yeah. It's just,
Well,
it's, go ahead.
I was going to say it's really beneficial, especially if you do have a chronic health issue, to work with an intuitive healer because it gives you the confidence to ask your doctors questions, because sometimes doctors can be kind of intimidating or rushed, so you don't ask the questions that you want to ask. But if you have more understanding about what's going on with you, then you can ask more direct questions, so you don't take up a lot of his or her time, and you can get the information that you want and get better care. It's a great combination. I love working on a team, especially with cancer patients. I have cancer patients around the world that I work with, and they go and some don't use any medical care at all, and others do the traditional chemotherapy and so forth. And it's nice being a part of that team to help them reach their goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine this would help really anyone. Like even if you're not dealing with, like any chronic, I don't know anyone that doesn't deal with something that's chronic in their health, I really like some pain or ache or some block or something like that. But I mean,
Right.
even if you're not suffering like from like cancer, that this would be a very transformational modality for folks too.
Oh, it is. There was a woman that I began working with a year ago by phone, and she was a remote patient. And the first month that we were working together, I could not connect her with the feeling of love, because that's very instrumental in my healing, especially to bring people into feeling love. It's such a healing energy. And she couldn't gather her, even from like a movie or a book that she'd read or a couple that she knew, she couldn't identify with the feeling of love. And when we did our session 2 weeks ago, when we finished, self-love was just pouring into her. It took her about 6 months before she could even start to identify. She began to love her cats. She could say, "Oh, I love my cats," and she could bring that into herself. But after a full year, she's filled with self-love. It's tremendous. It's just changed her life, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. This is awesome. And you are actually, as part of your free gift offering to our audience, you're offering a free 20-minute energy clearing and healing
I
session.
am.
Can you
I
tell us more
am.
about that? That's amazing. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. What I'm offering is you can ask me one question that you would like to focus on, be it health oriented. I mean, health issues are, they can be physical, they can be spiritual, they can be emotional. It doesn't have to be really a health issue. I just call it that because that's my expertise. But I've helped people through emotional problems. I've helped people learn how to be more spiritual, or how to be more intuitive, or how to make a major life decision. I worked with one young woman. She was deciding what career she should go into as she was entering the university. And so I worked the funnest for her and the most profitable. So there's a myriad of issues that I can work on with this, and I will teach you how to connect to your own light, how to be, and I'll give you some tools that you can use on yourself so that you can also begin to tap into your own intuition to heal yourself.
Thank you so much for that offering. I mean, and I think this was something when in my own healing journey, um, having a mentor, and doing healing work with that person was instrumental.
Mhm.
It helped me move through blocks that, sitting in meditation on my own, I just kept coming up against the same blocks, and
Right.
so I encourage those of you who feel called towards intuitive healing. Maybe you know that you have these gifts, and or maybe you're just wanting to get unblocked in some area of your life. Like, book a call with Jennie.
Do I would love to help you, and everybody has the gift. Everybody has some sort of intuitive gift, whether you're an artist or a musician or a healer or a teacher or an attorney. Everybody excels at something. And if you really look at that, you'll see it's because that's where you're intuitive. It's very easy for you because the information just comes to you. It just comes to you. And so you can take that and you can apply it to any part of your life.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Jennie. It's been awesome to talk to you.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you so much for having me. I really
Yeah,
loved it. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. And thank you everyone for joining us. You'll
Yes,
want to
thank
stay
you.
you'll want to stay tuned for the rest of the master classes in this transformational series as I talk to more leaders in the healing arts all about building emotional mastery, releasing from self-doubt so you can take bold, aligned action towards your soul calling. Sending you so much love and so many blessings. Be well. Namaste.
Namaste. Many blessings. Thank you.